Okay, folks, I think we're live. Let's check it. Let's see what's going on. Thanks a lot for showing up. If y'all folks do, if y'all choose to show up, whatever moment in time you do, I appreciate it. We are live. This is the Virtual Intel channel, and I just want to double check some stuff. Yes, we are live. All right, let me check the audio. All right, I have an ad running real quick, but what you're seeing right here is Bitski. This is an actual NFT marketplace and pretty much an NFT network where you can share your NFTs on it. And the reason why I brought this one up is because I just want people to see what I'm into doing at the moment. And I don't understand why the live is not feeding properly. So let's double check what the live stream setup is doing. All right, yeah, we're good. All right, so this is Bitski. I got a location over here, a profile, if y'all folks want to check it out. This is what I threw up recently. It's an NFT takeover text. I was just playing around, having fun with the term NFT, but I believe NFTs are definitely taking the web by storm, the online world, social media, etc. So it definitely deserves its due diligence. So that's why I'm throwing this up. But I made this on Blender. And talking about Blender, we're going to bring y'all folks to Blender today to see what is being featured in this actual live stream. And hold on one second, let me get some water. Before we jump off of Bitski, I'm going to show you my profile real quick. If you don't know what NFTs are, I highly recommend for you to type NFT onto Google or YouTube and check it out and find out what it is. It's non-fungible token, but it deals with cryptocurrency and things like that. You have to have a crypto wallet in order to get your NFTs up. If y'all folks don't know about it, it would behoove you to go check it out. I'm pretty sure you heard of it by now. If not, definitely go for it. Let me show you the profile real quick. I recently worked in some really good stuff. Reason why I'm showing you this is because eventually I'm going to have some animations thrown on here from the featured animation platform / software that I'm about to show y'all folks. So as you can see, this one has an animation. This is one of my recent animations I threw in from Blender and my NFT. So this character I recently created out on Blender using the human generator add-on. Y'all guys can check in my videos description area for any references that will help you to get to be able to create this. I have basically a YouTube live stream that I did to showcase this and show people how I did it, pretty much from start to almost finish. I didn't actually showcase the animation itself because I did the animation work in the background in my home office. So yeah, it's really dope what you can do today. It's really amazing the stuff that you can create with all the different toolings that we have. And like I said, check out Bitski, bitski.com, and get on there. If you have your own NFTs, try to get your profile up and you can work on your own stuff and get it out there to hopefully sell, because that's what NFTs are about. You can make purchases, you can also sell them. Now let's jump on to the featured tool that we have today. It's a software. It's a AI based type software where you can use it to extract videos or extract from your video that you created it's data that showcases in that video. So good example, I'll show y'all folks a video that I captured here from Pexels.com. It's a video of a woman dancing, and this is the video here. So I got that. It's free to use. It says down here, free to use. When you go to try to download it, pretty much you get a download that goes to your computer, and that basically digitally assigns it to your computer that you chose to use it. And that's the best way to do it. I wouldn't recommend for you to copy it or record like a screen capture of it. I highly recommend for you to go the legal way, which is the free download. Now, The creator who created this, I'm giving him credit. It's Artem Podres. So ARTEM Podres or Podres. I'm not sure how you would call that, but I'll show you his profile. This is the video creator and photographer who created this. So you can definitely check out his profile. I'll put a link in the description to his profile to give him credit for this video that I utilized of his. And that's pretty much all you're required to do on Pexels. I don't think it's 100% required, but they recommend it. I'm not really 100% sure, but you have to double check. And here you go here. Pretty much I do the download. It shows up in my download section, and then I save it. I'm going to cancel, but pretty much it says over here, set a link back to this video. You can use the following text, video by Artem Podres from Pexels. So the reason why I'm giving this information out there for folks is because if you choose to make videos, animations on Plask, which is the featured tool that I'm showing y'all folks today, definitely go through this method to credit the originator of that video. Even if you create an animation for, maybe you're doing short films or things like that, when you create, say, a live stream or pre-recorded video onto YouTube, that is the proper method to credit people. So you can also donate through PayPal, or you can post it on Instagram. It gives them pretty much some love back for what they've created for you. So let's go back to Plask. Plask is the featured platform. It is really dope. It is very similar to what is known as DeepMotion, which I did a video live stream on that one a while back. I did a bunch of them actually. And also Pixcap, Pixcap. So I highly recommend for y'all folks to check out those. I'll show you those real quick before I cover Plask in its full entirety of what I know of it and how to use it. Let's go real quick to DeepMotion so you can see the competitors, because they got major competitors that are out there, that have been out there for a while. And DeepMotion is really dope. They gave me the usage of it, I believe like the studio usage. I can use it for free and to my heart's content all the way for a whole year. But I chose after a while not to use it, only because I found other tools that work out as well, that I had no time to use DeepMotion. So I kept diving into other tools and things like that. So I didn't really have the time to play around and manipulate with it and do what I wanted to do with it. So I moved over to the other tool, which is known as Pixcap. And this tool is actually partnered with DeepMotion. They both do the same similar things. The difference is Pixcap has more like a timeline built in, just like Blender. So if you're an AI mocap type of user, plus you're a Blender user, this tool would be great for you. You would most definitely love it, because you can use the timeline to manipulate the keyframes and really pull off some unique animations that maybe you wanted to create on your own from scratch, or you can enhance some of the animations from your AI based mocap video data. So you go in, you put in your video footage, and then it extracts it, just like I said with Plask, I should say, and DeepMotion. They all extract the motion data from a video. Now, I don't believe that you can use a webcam on Pixcap, so it's like pre-recorded videos. To my knowledge, it's pre-recorded videos and image data as well that could be extracted from the video clips. So this one, they charge for AI credits after a certain amount that you use. And going back to DeepMotion, DeepMotion also has a pricing setup where you would have to pay pretty much to a certain degree after the free usage. I believe they have some sort of a free amounts of usage starting out just to get you warmed up and into it. And then they have a price gauge type of setup or price wall. And so let's go back and flip to Plask. Now Plask has no pricing. Plask is free. So you got pretty much a free unlimited usage of their tool. And what I noticed and what I found is that it's pretty accurate, which is mind-blowing. When I used it, when I first tried to test it out, as you can see, this is like more like a simulation slash sample. So this represents the video where you see the lady here doing her dance moves. So whoever uploaded this is a real live lady who got recorded in a webcam or in a video, pre-recorded video. So when you move with a slider, it simulates that you're transitioning to the 3D avatar slash 3D model that's built in to Plask, either built in by default or somebody uploaded it into Plask. So if you see, it looks really, really accurate. Now, one thing I noticed that when I started using Plask, the hands don't do what you see her hands doing. So I believe whoever uploaded it into Plask, they went in and they freehand animated the hands to mirror the lady's hands here. I believe that's what was done. I'm not sure 100%, but if I can bring her back and you can see her hands, and let's kind of bring it halfway. So if you see the hands, it's moving exactly how the hands are moving. So I didn't get any of my characters to get that to work. Now, I do know that they have an FK and IK setup that I saw in the manual area. So if you go into the manual, let's right click and bring it up real quick so you can check it out. There's a user guide, basically a manual where you can go in and read all the details and find out how it works. Now, I went through all of this and I basically got the gist of what everything is. I pretty much learned all of this stuff from using the DeepMotion and also using the other software known as Pixcap. So I learned a lot of this stuff already. So by the time I got over here, I figured it out and knew kind of what to do. So I was experimenting and trying to do stuff on my own, and I kind of figured out everything that they're talking about. So it didn't take me no time to pretty much puzzle together the pieces. So I didn't have to really learn everything. I already kind of knew ahead of time, because it's only but so many things you can do in a digital sense when it comes to animation. You know, after a while, stuff becomes redundant, and you kind of understand how the UI works for most tools. You just got to play with the keyboard to some degree and press a bunch of buttons on the keys, and eventually you start figuring out how the hotkeys work, things like that, and how you move your mouse and manipulate on the screen. So you can read all these details if you know nothing about animation, and you'll figure it out and puzzle it together regarding how to use their on-screen options and functions. You may not understand some of the things because maybe something like a keyframe, you might not understand what a keyframe is. If you just now got to it, you might not know what a timeline is, things of that nature. Now, Plask definitely has a timeline, so it's very similar to Pixcap. So they have similar functionality. You can go in and manipulate the keyframes as well on Plask. So I would say that Plask and Pixcap are direct competitors of each other. And one thing that I noticed on Pixcap, it has the IK/FK controls and handles, and it's easy for you to manipulate with that to basically manipulate the foot locking and stuff like that. If you have issues with foot locking for your character, a lot of things are user friendly on the Pixcap UI, and that's why I chose to use that one a lot more over using DeepMotion. DeepMotion doesn't have the timeline set up and all those things, IK/FK controls and things of that nature. Now, Blender most definitely has a lot of that stuff to offer. So I also bounce back and forth between Blender. I was jumping between Blender and Pixcap when I first started using Pixcap, but after a certain point, I started using Blender more because I learned from Pixcap how to use the timeline on Blender a lot more and how to use what is known as the graph editor. So I wanted to really fully recover from not learning much on Blender when I first started on Blender. For all the years that I was using it, I actually gave up on Blender animation for a while because the UI is just kind of somewhat hard to figure out on your own. And then learning from YouTube videos, not everybody knows every single thing in every detail. So I just wanted y'all folks to know some of that of my history dealing with these different software before I jump too far into it, because then you may not understand like the course and direction of where I'm going with the live stream. So now back to Plask, and that was just the basics of comparison, compare and contrast, you know, pros and cons to each of the different software that I chose to use besides Plask. Now leading to Plask, the reason why I found Plask is because of the other software. So I had to give credit to those other software to lead me to this, because without it, I probably would have never found it because I wasn't looking for it. That's the whole thing. Like online, if you're not looking for something, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to find it unless somebody leads you into it. Something like maybe on YouTube, you got your YouTube feed, things like that, that leads you into stuff that maybe you're not aware of, you don't know anything about, or your keywords that you search on Google or YouTube or whatever, maybe in a social network or something like that. So if your mind is not on top of it, you're not going to know about it pretty much. Even if you see it, you may not know the keywords, so you don't know what NFT means, so it won't trigger it in your mind until somebody throws the word of mouth at you, you know, and starts telling you what NFTs are and things like that. So now let's see over here. It showcases different things. Edit your animation with our browser-based editing tool. So that's what I was talking about in terms of Pixcap. They have the timeline, and they have different ways for you to manipulate animations. You can do retargeting of the rig to get it to tie into the video AI and things like that, if you need to do that. But a lot of it on Plask is automated, very similar to Pixcap. They have so much similarities that it's hard to tell the difference between both. But I do know that, like I said, Pixcap has a much more user-friendly UI where you can figure out a lot of the stuff on your own quicker than having to go to the user guide and manual that you have to do on Plask. So let's see, it says most major file formats are supported. You can share and review and collaborate right in the browser. I never done that, and I don't know how that is done because I haven't found any options for that. So maybe that's coming. I'm not sure 100%. But I'm not going to show y'all folks everything. I'm just going on an overview of what they have on the screen. It says animation by everyone for everyone. I like it because it's free, so everyone can use it, obviously, because of the free options, or free user capability. So that's why I think that part is very, very attractive for an animation software where you can extract from video and create AI based motion capture. Now check this out. I want to show y'all folks something that I created on Blender, because people may have a question: can you move it to other tools? Can you export it, etc., etc.? Now check this out. This is an end product of what I created, and I used one of their models that they supplied, which is a zombie model, and I believe this zombie model may have come from Mixamo. And Mixamo animations is what I've been using for many, many years, but guess what? This is not a Mixamo animation. This is me actually walking. It's hard to believe, but this is actually me. So what I went and I did on Blender, I animated the head to some degree. I pulled off some really unique ways of making the head move, kind of like a zombie. It's not really that much of a zombie, but that's my best animation so far with the head. The arm motions, that was just me and the camera moving my arms. And if you see the legs, the leg motions are not that great, so I'm faking the funk with the leg motions, and I hit it. So that's why you see half of the body in the screen. Now, one of the things I learned that you can do is pull off a lot of fake the funk moves with animations, because it's not exact. It doesn't have to be exact. It can be like somewhat cutoffs of certain portions of the screen. You can zoom in and zoom out of certain areas that you want. And if other things are not working at that moment in time with the animation, you can cut it out of the video in the footage. So if y'all folks want to learn how to do any of this stuff, you can check out a lot of my videos that I throw up, or I can lead you to other channels that are into animation, but mainly through Blender. Now, like I said, I did not have to go in and animate everything. I only did small little keyframe animations for the head, but pretty much this comes from video footage of me walking, fake walking. I was fake walking in place in my living room downstairs in my house, in my home. So to get that to work without having a motion capture suit is amazing. It's stunning. And guess what? I'm going to start making some short animated shorts and stuff like that. I'm going to try to make maybe like some short films and things like that, because now I got a free tool that I can go with an unlimited amount of usage, which is amazing, from using that cloud AI type of thing. So I'll still be using the other tools to my discretion. I will definitely use DeepMotion, and I'll definitely keep using Pixcap, because they have really good features that Plask, I believe, doesn't have 100%. So Plask has one thing. I'll use the benefits of every single thing. You know, whatever I don't have a one tool, I'll go to the other tool, and then I'll just bounce all around and use the best of every single featured tool that I have at in my toolbox, my digital toolbox, and then most definitely bring everything to Blender, because guess what? Blender is the render engine. So with Blender, I can do pretty much all the video editing. I can do the powerful developmental process for the film footage, etc. Hold on one second. I got somebody that came in. Hey, baby. You do a video? Yeah, I'm doing a live stream. I'll be done soon. Maybe about 10-20 minutes or something like that. All right. All right, baby. Yeah, so pretty much that's my plans on using this tool. Now, when you're done, you know, not actually when you're done. I kind of lost my train of thought. Sorry about that, folks. So when you first want to start, say you wanted to join, you have to sign up, obviously. Or say you already signed up, you have to sign in. So if you want to get this going, just to get started, you have to hit this button here, get started. That's what transitions you in to more of the control setup, because all of this stuff is web-based. You don't have to download Plask onto your computer. It's web-based, and that's what I believe makes it more user-friendly, because you don't have to have all this clunky stuff on your computer that crashes all the time. Like when you're using Blender, sometimes you're doing different things and it may crash depending on your computer's more of your graphics card setup, more of your CPU setup, how much CPU you have, how much graphics card power you have, etc. But this doesn't rely on any of that. This is mainly web browser based. But what I noticed is that in order to really get certain things working, I switched over to Google Chrome, because when I was looking through the browser and trying to move some of the assets, say I was trying to get a 3D asset slash GLB file or FBX file, which is the 3D model file, and I tried to move it into the viewport, it did not move into the viewport using Mozilla Firefox. So I switched over out of Mozilla Firefox. That's why I'm not using Mozilla Firefox here for it. So I can show y'all folks that, but just keep, you know, take my word for it. Maybe you can try it on your computer and it works for you. I don't know if it will work for you, but it did not work for me. So at this point, I'll open the ground for people to ask questions if you have any questions on this thing, because it is really lucrative what you can do. If you have any questions, I'll jump in and out and try to see if I can answer those questions. Let's see what we got. If we got anybody in the communicator area, in the chat area, no, we don't. All right, good. So if, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, jump in the comments, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. So what we're gonna do, I'm just showing y'all folks the UI, how it would look when you first start. What you're seeing here is pretty much the character is already in the screen, obviously. But when you first start out, the character is not going to be in the screen. So I don't want to get rid of this because it does not have an undo button. It does not have a save or store option. Now that's the thing that I believe is what the free part is all about. Because when you're creating stuff like this on a server, the server is getting loaded and loaded and loaded and loaded, because there's so many different users. Maybe millions of users in the future are going to be using it. So if they're storing so much data on there, the developers will have to actually provide tons of space in their background using cloud computing and using data centers to provide kind of like how Google does, Facebook does, and all these other platforms. They provide a service where they have to pay on their end for all of that data that's being stored. And if they're providing it for free, there's some way they have to pay it. So that's why they have to initiate ads and stuff like that and put all these ads all over the screen. So whoever came up with this tool, they offering it for free for now. I don't know if it's going to become a paid version in the future. I'm not sure. But the reason why the other software providers are providing it with a pricing is because they're offering that data up for scale. So you go in and you basically can store, like on Pixcap, you can store your files and stuff like that on the side of the screen. You go in and then you can save, you can title it what you want to title it. This thing doesn't have that kind of concept where you title it and you create stored actual files. So instead, what this is doing is basically everything you're doing right now, it is as it is. So if say your computer crashes at this moment, you're going to lose everything. That's the only downside to using this Plask tool, because if the browser's reset or it freezes and locks, you're not going to get back the animation work that you've done. So what I recommend for you to do is keep everything to a low level. Don't go crazy with your animations. Just keep it very low level. So let's go back to this video here by Artem Padras. So we're going to go back. So this video is only about 15 seconds. When you scrub it through, all I really want is just up to about the 10-second position, or where she starts walking. Because usually when you have this AI mocap stuff, if anybody's walking in the video, it tends not to work out that great for the foot locking, and the feet will slide and act all weird and start bugging out. I noticed that with using DeepMotion and also using the Pixcap. So I just basically wanted to scrub the video out and edit out and get only a certain portion. So let me show you what it looks like. So this is her motion, and this is what it turned out like. And I sped it up to about 1.75 times so it can move a little faster, just to get the animation to look more realistic. Because sometimes animations don't translate 100% over into the real, from the real world in a video AI to a digital character and moving over to a model. So I think this is the best version that I can get out of it by speeding it up to 1.75, which the developers knew about that, I believe. So what they do is they offer the ability to play around with it. And for some reason, I'm not allowed to move the screen up like I had it. Hold on one second. I didn't even know you can reduce that. What is going on over here? I'm trying to move it up a little bit so I can see the bottom. Something's going wrong. But oh, I know what it is. You have to unselect this blue thing, this blue icon, and then you can move it up. I forgot about that. All right, so yeah, where I was at, what I was saying, pretty much when you get the character running, you get everything moving, it's not going to go at the same exact speed that you want it to go. So you want to speed it up or slow it down. So this would basically change the frames per second to some degree and increase it or decrease the frames per second. If you know anything about frames per second, which basically is how animation files will be timed based on frames or keyframes. So now this stuff you can move over. What I'm doing is depressing my alternate key on the keyboard and the right click mouse button. Hold on one second. And you can move it and slide it over. You can also use the mouse scroll wheel and scroll out to zoom out to much more keyframes, or you can zoom back in with the mouse scroll wheel. So it goes into the smaller scale of the keyframes, and you can start seeing the keyframes. So you just have to slide it over to see it. Hold on one second. And right now it's just playing games with me for some reason. let's see. Let's bring it over. Why is it doing that? When I push it that way, it's getting short. Okay. So there got to be another way to do this. Bear with me. I'm just trying to bring over the keyframes so you can see them. For some reason I keep messing up. All right, there it is. So you got to be zoomed in over here near the keyframes in order to get them to show. So here goes the keyframes. You can play around with them and manipulate them how you see fit. But I recommend if you're getting a video, don't mess with them too much. If you take the video and you extract the data, I wouldn't do too much keyframe playing. Most of the keyframe stuff you can do on Blender for sure. If you like what I did with the head, let's go to Blender real quick so you can see what I was talking about with the Blender head stuff. So with Blender, I don't know if you ever use Blender, but you have to know how to do switch around from object mode to pose mode and things like that. Right now I can't switch to any mode. I'm just on object mode. I have to select the bones first, then I can switch to pose mode, and then I would have to find the actual bone that controls maybe the head. I select it, so now I'm selected on the head, and right now I have auto keyframing selected, so it's very similar. This is the timeline, so I can go in and I can manipulate the keyframes. So what I did is I animated the character so he can walk, obviously, but the original animation, the character wasn't moving at all. It was basically walking in place. So I created a walk in place, more of a walk cycle, which I'll show you that one. This is the walk cycle right here. I moved it over to Plask, extracted the data, and actually let's go to the zombie. We'll switch to the zombie. All right, there goes the zombie. And hold on one second. I keep forgetting the buttons. So here goes the zombie, and I'm just showing y'all folks how it looked when I brought it in. Okay, so we're gonna hit the play. Hold on one second. Why is it walking? Oh, I think I animated it on here. That's why. So as you can see, the legs are not really moving that good. It was horrible, the animation of the legs that I did, but the arms was swinging pretty good, and I had it set at 1 times, so I had it defaulted to the original state that the speed was at. So from that, I just took that basic animation and I manipulated it. But let me delete this one. I don't need that. I just want to show you what it looked like, the original one. So this is where they at over here. Whenever you move them over and you create the video AI based mocap, they come in as little small this little small circle type of thing with a little curve. That's an indicator, little icon that it's an animation. So it will show up on the screen, and you have to name it, obviously. But I'll show y'all folks that kind of stuff most definitely in other videos. I just want to do an overview real quick of what I was doing. So you'll just drag it and move it into the upper folder for that 3D model, and then it moves in. And then you just hit the play button to see what it does. So actually the original was set right here, so that's why it moved real quick to a different location on the screen, because the original file for the walk cycle is just right here. So I'm gonna hit the play, and you'll see this is what I actually did in my living room. So I turned that into what you see on Blender, into this. So I did a combination of animating it on Plask, and then I also animated it on Blender. So I did a combination of animations, and I also did a camera animation on Blender, and I did a whole lot of lighting setups for the scene so that the lighting could look a certain way, and I positioned the camera so that I could fake the funk with the legs so the legs don't show in the screen, because I didn't want to go in and do all the leg rework for all of my leg motion that would have took too much time. So that's why I had to fake the funk, just to get that little video clip up. Now, keep in mind, you can do a lot of stuff. I'm telling you, once you get all these different tools working for you and you understand how the tools work to some degree, you can play around and create some amazing stuff. So I'm gonna show you real quick a little sample of what I did. Let's see real quick. It's I don't know if it's a live stream. I think it's a live stream that I did, and it's an animation. Actually, no, it's not a live stream. I believe it's this right here, or this one. I think it's this one. It's 1 minute and 40 seconds. I'm just gonna play it for y'all folks just to see. It may have an ad starting out. Hold on 1 second. We'll let the ad play out and turn off the audio. Sorry about that. So we'll let the ad play out, and then we'll skip the ad if we can. Yeah, we'll skip the ad. There we go. And this is a rap video, by the way. So maybe I'll turn on the audio, but you'll see that if you do small little clips, you can create some really dope stuff. So you see that part right there. Hold on, let's go real quick. This transition is a small one, but it enhances my video quality to a certain degree, because all I got is this head talking and stuff like that, and I got other little things clipping in, like small little video clips. So I believe, like, when you're trying to create like a music video or something that's pretty quick, the more edited clips that are sensible to the viewer, it enhances the viewing pleasure, and over time you can get a lot of views. Definitely on YouTube, by having a whole bunch of jump cuts and clips and making it interesting to the viewer. So like that kind of stuff that I did this on Blender, I believe, with the wall and playing around with this. I was just playing around and having fun. And hold on 1 second, let me just bring this part in where he lands on the floor in slow motion. I was just playing around, just trying to see what I can do. So this is the thing, once you get really good at using these tools, you want to make small short clips and then combine them all together in a collage and try to turn it into like a music video if you can. That's a good training session in animation, to just to get yourself to become better and better at animation. This is one of the first successful music videos that I created using Blender, and I also used MetaHumans. So this is the mouth and the mouth motion is being animated through Unreal Engine. So I used Unreal Engine and Blender in combination. You don't want to like count stuff out. You want to actually add all the tools that you have at your disposal together. So you use the best from every single tool and you manifest what you can. That's how they do it in Hollywood. They don't limit themselves. They enhance what they can do, and they keep going and keep going and keep going to the point of no return. So where no one else has seemed to create that kind of creation, you know, they do it to that degree, to the nth degree. And when they come up with it, they make sure it's all polished, everything's set up the way that it could look, and then they render it. Obviously, they may do multiple renders, tons of renders, and eventually they come up with a finished product that looks really finished and polished and nice. So I just wanted to talk about that, because that whole creation process, you have to build up. You have to really build that up. And the whole thing with using Blender and using all these other tools, if you don't use it to your best ability, with all the knowledge that you've built and developed over the years and all that, then you're basically just wasting time. So what I recommend for folks is you learn all of the basics to animation. You learn all the basics to 3D modeling if you can. I'm not even the best at any of this stuff, but I know for sure when you do that, then when it comes to developing stuff over time, it starts to look better and better and better and better. And it will come out the way you want, you know what I mean? As opposed to something that's subpar or not meeting a certain level of expectation for your own quality that you're looking for. Now, let's move over to something entirely different. We're going to use Blender. We're going to move that file that I showed y'all folks and bring it over onto Blender to end the session real quick so you can see how it would transition in. So say you was using a third-party software like Blender or Maya or whatever other tool that you was using. Maybe you're using Unreal Engine and you're moving your character over to Unreal Engine or whatever the case may be. The transitions are all the same when it comes to using Plask. So in order to do the export, after you do all of your stuff, you go to the actual file that you want to export. And the one that I want is the night file. So I'm going to move the night file in. And the thing that's really nice about this is that the session that you're working on, it does somewhat store the animation data. So it doesn't totally get rid of it. So whenever you switch over from one model to the next, it will go directly back to where it was at. So that's the limitation again with the storing. It doesn't store as a file, but it stores in the browser for that moment. Now, if you hit the reload button, it's all gone. It's gonna pretty much evaporate, and it'll reset to the default levels of what was set up here by default. And talking about defaults, one thing that's awesome is that they provide the UE4 mannequin by default. So you don't have to go in and upload a UE4 mannequin to get your, say, your metahumans animated. So if you want to get your metahumans animated, you just export the T pose of this mannequin, and then you also export the animated portion that you built up, whatever you applied to the UE4 mannequin. And then it will go in, and you can go on to Unreal Engine and then do everything that you already know how to do on Unreal Engine to get the animations working. So basically you retarget the bones, reset the all the different things that you need to do, which I saw a video recently about it, and I'll tie y'all folks into it. Actually, I'll go to that video at this moment so you can check that out. I'll go through my library and I'll show you the person that actually was responsible, let's see, for helping me understand a little bit about the more of the Unreal Engine transition. So let's see, I think this is the one, but not 100%. This is the channel. Baked Mystic 3D, I believe, is the channel that I used recently. So let's see the video. Animate metahumans using free mocap. Okay, so this is the one here. So just check this out. Just type in animate metahumans using free mocap, or you can type his channel. This is his channel, Baked Mystic 3D. Go check it out. Doesn't matter how many subscribers a person has. He just now started, it seems, on YouTube, but this guy has a lot of information, and he's really, 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 really smart. I can tell by his video that I watched, and I learned from him some basic stuff that I did not know existed at that point in time for whatever I learned from him. So I will go in and let's see, I think it's over here real quick. We'll go in through business. No, not business. Is it animate? No, 3D. Is it 3D? I know I stored a web page that he offered up. Actually, let me just go to his video, because that's gonna take a little bit too long. So we'll go to his video. Let's try to turn down the audio so it doesn't show up. And we're gonna go to the bottom of his description area and go to that document. So this is the document here. So if y'all folks are interested in using Unreal Engine in conjunction with Plask, I highly recommend for you folks to get into this here. I'm going to give you the link to it in my video's description area. It's retargeting animations onto a metahuman. And this is pretty much using the UE4 mannequin. So you go over here to the UE4 mannequin. So you wanted to export it. You select over here, left click, you right click, and then you go to export. Now, keep in mind, the UE4 mannequin has to be in the viewport for it to work. So it's not going to work right now. But say I got the UE4 mannequin in. We throw them in there. Now it should work. Right click and go to export. So you have to be selected, and also the 3D element or object / 3D model has to be in the viewport in order to export. So you go to the area of the 3D model in the library, right click, and then go to export. Also, visualization has to be fully completed. So if the visualization is not done, select it, left click where it says visualization, and then it shows up over here where visualization cancel is highlighted. So that's how you know you can export, and the export will be highlighted. From that part, then you select what you want. So for now, it's just the binding pose that is gonna send out, and then you can change the format to FBX, GLB, or BVH. Depends on what type of file format you want to move over to, maybe Maya or to Blender, or to for this particular setup we'll be doing Unreal Engine or something like that. So then you're going to double click the export. If you single click, it doesn't work. I tried it many times. Single click doesn't work, so you have to double click. Then it says this can take up to 3 minutes. From there, you're basically going to save it on a folder on your computer, and once you get that stored, then you can move it over to Unreal Engine. For me, it's going to take a little while because I have an external hard drive, and that one tends to time itself out, so I got to wait for it to time itself back on. So it may take maybe about a minute or so for it to transition. So I probably should have got it on before I even did this, but it's coming on right now. It's about a good minute. All right, so now it's done. It transitions over to that folder on my computer, and then I can go over to Unreal Engine and start to play around on Unreal Engine. But you pretty much have to, like I said, go based on, hold on, do I have the details over here? Retargeting. So you got to go in and learn all of this retargeting stuff before you can get your metahumans to be animated using Plask. So you got to know all of this stuff, pretty much going through the setup of the skeleton and all of these different things. So most people who use metahumans already know this, but there's certain little small things that you may not realize that you need to know in order to get your UE4 mannequin to work 100% accurate. So, and you can get it to work 100% accurate. So you go through all these details, and this could teach you stuff if you don't know anything about it. So you'll learn a lot from it. So like I said, I'll take this, select it, copy it, and I'll paste it into my live stream session. So let me do that actually while we're doing it live. I like to do everything while I'm doing it live because that's the type of content creator I am. I like to give people what I can give them when I got the chance. So let me go in real quick through my content and live stream, and then go in to edit the data details. And I'm gonna provide it for the live stream. We're gonna put in Unreal retargeting info. Very useful, very important to know. All right, and then just save that. So now you got that. And I'm also going to detail this guy's location. Go ahead, babe, you can go. I'm gonna give you the link to this guy's location, Artem Padres. So let's go real quick and do that. Video footage by Artem Padres. I think that's how you spell his name. Let's see real quick. Yep, Artem Padres. All right, so we'll put that info there, paste it, and save. So now I properly credited the video creator, and I also provided the Unreal retargeting information for folks who want to retarget using Plask. So there you go. One other thing I wanted to show you folks, the information that I did not know that I learned from the other guy, let's see, from his channel. Actually, I forgot about plugging this guy's channel into Baked Mystic 3D. Let's plug that in. If y'all folks offer up something really useful, I'm gonna plug it in. Baked, what is this channel? I'm gonna plug it into my live stream. That's how I do it. Baked Mystic 3D. Mystic 3D. And we will submit that one. Boom. So you can get to his channel and get to find out everything in detail from him as well. But I will submit his above the Unreal one because the information goes in that order where I got the information from. So we save it like that and boom. So you'll find it, like I said, in the video's description area. Hopefully that is useful to you. And so now we'll go back over here to what we was doing with the, I believe it's the dance of the night character. So let's move this in. So now you got all that information. Hopefully you understand. Like I said, you move the UE4 mannequin GLB file. Maybe you can turn it, I think you should turn it into a FBX. So you turn it into FBX file, you get the base one, move it over as a T-pose into that file folder like I showed, and then you animate whatever you have to do with the mannequin and then move that animated file over as well. Say this was the animated file, you right click, export the same way. So you have to have both, the T-pose base one and the animated one. And then you follow the steps and you should be able to make it in the full conversion. If you already know how to use MetaHumans, if you don't, you're gonna have to follow tons of tutorials until you get to that point. But other than that, we're gonna move this character over, right click, export, and we will do a FBX file export to move it over to Blender. So double click and it goes in and tries to move it over. Now this should be much faster because now my external hard drive is linked to my computer. So it should work really fast. Once this exporting file screen goes away, and then it tries to connect it to the file folder automatically. So we're gonna call this night 2 because I already got one set up already up here. I'm gonna save, and it says Plask wants to download multiple files. Let's put allow. I don't know why it tried to go in again, but it's okay. So now we'll go to Blender. By the way, I'm using Blender 3.1.0 alpha, and this is going to be very, very painless and simple to do. You just left click after you get from the load up screen and you just plug them in. How you plug them in, you go to file in the upper left corner, go import, and then go to I think it's a FBX file that I used. If you had a GLB, you would use this right here where it says GLTF. It's also a GLB file type. And now I just have to find where I put it at on my computer. Put it in animation work, I think, on one of my Blender folders, and then night 2. And then we're going to import FBX. And there we go. Now he's in the screen. And by the way, the character model is from Mixamo, I believe. So this is a Mixamo model. How you, excuse me, how you know that, and how I know that is you go over here and it says armature with the big line, that big vertical line, mixamo.com, vertical line layer O. So most of these are Mixamos. The only one that's not Mixamo is the mannequin. So the mannequin, like I said, is UE4. So this tool works in conjunction with Unreal Engine content, obviously, and with Mixamo content. Pretty cool. You can actually move Mixamo files onto it as animatable files, but you can't really do too much to it besides edit out the keyframes. I tried to copy the keyframes like I was doing on Pixcap, but you can't copy the keyframes from one model to the next model. You can only copy the keyframes within the same model. So that didn't really help me too much, but hopefully they can provide that capability and functionality, because on Blender, you can go on Blender and you can copy keyframes from one model to the next model. It doesn't matter, but if it doesn't have the same rig and the rigs are not matching, then it won't work. It'll work, you'll be able to copy it over, but nothing's going to happen the way that you want it, because the bones is not retargeted and the bones don't work out they're not the same bone structure or whatever. So yeah, let's go back to Blender. Now we just hit the play button and you'll see you got them dance moves. Now this guy is not moving that fast, obviously, because he came in at the default speed, because I brought it in and I changed it from what I had set before. So I'm gonna set it back to 175. You can also go in and change the frames per second, but that may only work when you're doing a render on Blender. A render on Blender. You have to go in and adjust the render settings. So let's see. Over here where it says frames per second, you can change that to a faster frames per second. Let's see if that changes the speed. Okay, so yeah, you can do it without the render. So that's another way to change the speed right there. So you got to go to the render option and then change the frame rate. So this is moving kind of at the speed that I want. So I don't really necessarily have to go in over here and change it over here. But if I changed it here first and then exported it, I would never have to go in and change the render FPS. So you see this one's moving kind of like the other one. Actually, this is moving a little slower, I guess. Now, one of the things I did is change the hand positions. I went in and just changed the fingers settings so that it doesn't look so straight. So you can go in and change the finger settings. It won't really make a big difference. You don't have to animate the keyframes at all. You just move the fingers, and then how you do that, you zoom in, and then you just select these little balls, and these balls are basically joints, and you can move the joints how you see fit. Like I'll move it, I go to this one, and you'll see that the finger is going to move. Now keep in mind, like I said, at one point you can't go in and undo. So if you mess up the joints, make sure you place it right back to where it was supposed to be put, or else you're going to really screw up how your animation looks. So let's zoom out, and as you can see, there you go. So that's playing there, and it's also playing over here on Blender. So just like Blender, on Unreal Engine is very similar, but with Unreal Engine, there's a lot more work you're going to have to do to get him to actually transition into a metahuman, because you have to retarget the bones. Now on Blender, I haven't been able to retarget successfully this character yet. I haven't done it, but I'll try to see if I can get it to retarget, maybe using the Rococo Studio retargeter tool, or some people use the I forgot the Pro something Animation Pro. I forgot that particular add-on. There's different add-ons you can use for retargeting. So say you wanted to look at the material, you can go in to the rendered view, and the materials are not going to look that good. So I'll kind of help you real quick if you want to get past this point with the materials. If you don't know how to manipulate the materials, let me hide the bones real quick. And as you can see, the face is hidden. You don't see the face when you're trying to render. See, nothing is showcased, right? So what you want to do is, after you select the body, you go down here in Blender to the material data. So it says material properties. So you go all the way down to this little circle icon, and you scroll down using your mouse scroll wheel, and you go to where it says blend mode, and you change it from alpha blend to opaque, and then it pops in. So that's how that works. If you don't do that, it's not going to show up. You also can do backface culling, but backface culling doesn't do much. Let's see, let me change it back so you can see. Backface culling does something, but it leaves little artifacts, and it leaves the hands or the arms kind of transparent, so you can see behind the arms. So that's why backface culling is not 100% working with this. So you do opaque. You can also go to alpha hashed if you wanted to, but I don't like that one. I like opaque. So you just play with these buttons, the blend mode basically, and then from that point, then when you go in, you can animate it. Now when you're trying to animate it when it's rendered, it's going to be slower, obviously. It's moving a little slower. Even though I increased the frames per second, it's not moving that fast. But yeah, it's up to you what you want to do with it. With dance moves like that, obviously I'm not going to get him to walk unless I create a transition. So say I create another animation and then have him tie together with transitions on Blender. With Blender, that's the benefit. You can transition keyframes, so you can play around with